Good morning, students. Welcome to the virtual classrooms. In our last lecture, we already discussed the numericals related to your third chapter of the electrolysis. Today, we will be studying the fourth part of the chapter, as already we discussed previously also, that we are going to divide the chapter into four parts. Today, we will be studying about batteries and corrosion. We are having it as a two-part in our fourth chapter. One we will study about the batteries, one we will study about the corrosion. Now this is completely theoretical portion, right? Most important is, again, like previously in all the lectures already it was told, writing the reaction is going to be very important for you, right? Now first of all we will study about the batteries. Now these are particularly redox reactions. Here also anodic cathodic reactions are taking place, but here it's working like electrochemical cells. They are converting chemical energy into electrical energy. Here chemical energy is converted into electrical energy. But during this time, it's not necessary that we need it as in two half cells. We don't need salt bridge. Without that, they are working it. These batteries, we classified into two types. One is primary cell and the second one is secondary cell. While we also get it as in one type of it as a fuel cells. Now this is a totally different from it, right? So one is primary cell, one is secondary cell, and the another one, that is a type of an battery that we work it as in fuel cells, right? Now for primary cell means what? Once cell is used up, it cannot be reused by charging, right? Once the cell is used up, it has to be thrown away. It cannot be reused again. So they are considered to be as a primary cells. Whereas in the case of secondary cells, once the cell is used, it can be recharged and can be reused, right? So here the chemicals are going to remain in the solution in the form of the solutions within the container. They can be reused again and again. Particularly for this, we give it as an example of dry cell. That is the one with the cell that we are using in our day-to-day life as an remote in the remote controls, the cell that we are using it, or in the wall clocks that we are using it, or for the toys we are using it. Specifically, you are knowing it them in the form of a particular word that is used for it as in pencil cell, right? They are the dry cells, right? For this simplicity, they are using the word as, the companies are giving the different names like pencil cells, but they are the actually termed as dry cells, right? In the same way, here we are using it as a lead storage batteries. Now this is also one which you are using in our day-to-day life. This is particularly lead storage batteries, means the one which we are using in our two-wheelers or in a four-wheelers. The batteries that are used, they are all known as lead storage batteries, right? These are the daily routine batteries that you have seen it. Whereas we will be going through the detail of it. We will try to understand the construction working also. And the third one, that is fuel cell, which is not in a routine use, right? This is not a very useful, or you cannot say that it's a day-to-day life used fuel cells as a current to be produced, right? So let us go in for one by one the construction and working of all the three of them, right? Now for that case, The first of all we will study about the dry cell. Now, when you are talking about the dry cell, it's told that diagrams are not perfect. Huh? Just avoid the diagrams. Even in the exam also you have to not draw the diagram. Only for your understanding I am just plotting it. Okay. Now what is it? These are the rough diagrams. What is it? It's a container made up of Zn. It's a zinc container. Right? In the zinc container, a porous paper is being placed around it so that it does not come directly in contact with the chemicals. That is the porous paper. That is placed. Now, in it, a graphite rod is placed. Now you can see that the rod is slightly above than this, but does not touches to it. The reason is, one is going to act as an anode, the another one is going to act as a cathode. So this is going to act as a cathode. It's a graphite rod placed in it. Now, this is divided into two parts. One portion, it's filled up with this portion is filled up with MnO2 plus C, carbon, right? Why? The rest portion, the empty portion which is there, it's been filled up by another chemical, and that is NH4Cl plus ZnCl2. Right? After filling it, it's been sealed out with a special wax. Now this is sealed. And while sealing it, particularly a metal this metal which can conduct electricity, it's placed on it. Right? Now, once it has been there, this Zn is going to act as anode, graphite is going to act as cathode. So on the anode, the reaction that is going to take place is Zn gets converted into Zn plus 2 plus 2e. While on the cathode, the reaction that will be taking place, that would be MnO2 plus NH4 plus gets converted into Mn2O3 plus NH3. We will have to balance the reaction. While balancing it, what we will get it? Here we are getting it as an MnO2. Let's take it as 2 MnO2. Here 2 NH4. It will get converted into 2 Mn. 4 oxygen, 3 are there. 1 is still left. So we will be getting it as 2H2. Right? Okay. While doing it, we wrote it like this. You can also have it, the same component, written like MnOOH. You can also get it as an MnOOH. It's a one and the same. Only the factor is the reaction won't have H2 indicated in it. So you can write this twice MnO2 plus 2 NH4 plus MnO2 plus 2 NH3 plus H2O. Now during this, we will be also having it as an electrons gained by it. Now what is the change in its oxidation number? You will find it that Zn, anode, 2 electrons. That is, Zn was 0, 2 plus 2, 2 electrons. Here on cathode, MnO2, Mn was in a plus 4, changed to 2, Mn2O3, that is plus 3, and 2 Mn are there. So 2 electron transfer are there. Right? So during the reaction, 2 electron transfers are taking place. This is the working of it. Now during this case, Zn is converted into Zn plus 2 and Mn is converted from plus 4 to plus 3. Now why this cell is considered to be as a non-useful once it is used up? Then the reason is given out that once from +4 to +3 electron transfer, by reversing the terminal you can't convert +3 into +4, and that's the reason why it cannot be reused again once it is used, right? Okay, similarly the another objective question that is being placed for it, that is asked as the dry cell in actual it's not a dry. The dry cell in actual it's not a dry. Now what is the reason behind it? Why such statement is given? Then in that case it is told to us that if a dry cell becomes dry, it cannot produce NH4 plus ion in the solution, right? This NH4 plus Cl in water, it produces NH4 plus Cl minus. If this one is not present, that means if the dry cell becomes completely dry, so it won't be able to produce NH4 plus. If it can't produce NH4 plus, it can't go for the cathodic reaction. That means the reduction won't take place. So to carry out the reaction, it's necessary that the moisture should be present in the cell. So this is about the dry cell, right? This is anodic, this is cathodic reaction that we are having it. Okay, now let's do it the second one as a late storage cell. When we are talking about the secondary battery, that means we are having it as a late storage battery. Now, first of all, if I go for the construction, a rough diagram, then what does it shows? That in a late storage battery, we are having it as a one of the cell that is being fixed. In it, we are going to put it as one rod. This rod, it's going to act as a PB. Right? I'm going to put the another rod, which is going to act as PbO2. One is anode, one is cathode. Right? In this, it's going to be filled up by acidified water. That means it is containing 35 to 38% W by W H2SO4. In certain books it is indicated as 35% W by W, in some books it is indicated as 38, particularly in your textbook you will be having it as a 38% W by W. But that means we know it that this indicates that 38 gram of H2SO4 is taken in 62 gram of water. This is the solution that will be having it filled in it, right? Every time when you are utilizing the car batteries or two-wheeler batteries, bike batteries or Activa batteries, you know it that you needed to add a certain distilled water, acidified water after every certain 15-20 days or 1 month. That is nothing else but it's a 38% W by W H2SO4 is added, because if its density decreases, this battery will become weak. It won't be able to work. That means you are aware about that factor also, that if a battery does not work, it needs to push up the battery, push up the cars so that it gets on. Otherwise the car does not start by the cell. So that is because of certain weakness in the concentration of H2SO4. Now what is the reaction that is taking place on the anode? On the anode, when this reaction is taking place, it's a Pb plus the SO4 minus 2 ion which is present in the solution of the H2SO4. It gets converted into PbSO4 plus 2 electrons. Right? On the cathode, the reaction will be of PbO2, right? While on the anode the SO4 was used, so 2H plus were left out. Those 2H plus So those two H plus another molecule of H2SO4 that is also using it as an SO4 minus 2. So total we will be getting it as 4H plus and 2 electrons. When I am taking this component, it gets converted into PbSO4 plus 2H2. So on anode also PbSO4 is produced, on cathode also. That means overall in the solution you are going to get it as the lead deposited and gets converted into lead sulfate. But the benefit of this is, this reaction is carried out when it's a discharging. When the battery is discharging, that means during the night time or when your vehicle is not on the road, it's a been parked vehicle. At that time, the battery is started to discharge itself. Right? Now, discharging is going it in this process. But when you are running vehicle on the road, then at that time the battery is being charged by the reason is the terminals inside them, they change their portion. So during the charging process, what happens? On the anode, you get it as PbSO4, 2H2O changes to PbO2, SO4 minus 2, 4H plus 2E. That means I wrote it as a very simple thing, reverse reaction of cathode on anode. And on cathode what will happen? Reverse reaction of anode. It will be also PbSO4 plus 2E gets converted into Pb plus SO4 minus 2. Right? So by reversing the reaction, by reversing the terminal, anode becoming cathode, cathode becoming anode, the reaction is restarted. The chemicals are produced back, and as a result, this cell, it is continuously used for a very long time. Right? So by reversing the terminals, the batteries can be recharged and can be reused again. During this case, when this reaction is carried out, actually it produces 2 volt of current. Right? But when we are using the batteries, we know it that we are using 12 volt or 24 volt batteries. What does it mean? Such type of cells, when they are connected through the external, the number of them are connected in series. 6 such cells, 12 cells, when they are connected in a series, they produces 12 or 24 volt batteries in it. Right? So depending upon the number of cells that are connected in a series, that much amount of the voltage can be produced, and that's why this is a very useful battery. Right? Okay. The third one that we told it, that was related to the fuel cell. Now we know it that fuel cells, we also told it that this is not a daily used cell. What is the reason behind it? This fuel cell is actually made up of hydrogen and oxygen, and both of them are explosive components. These particular cells, they are not under the human controls. They are not like a Carnot cycles. Right? In the physics you have studied about the Carnot cycle. These cells are not in controlled conditions. They are working under a non-controlled conditions. So once the fuel that is filled up and the reaction is started, till the total amount of the chemical present in the cell is not been consumed, reaction cannot be stopped in between. So if you want to stop the reaction in between, then you have to be ready with a condition that the explosion of this cell takes place immediately. That means you or me, whoever are trying to do it, they are not safe. Right? This cell was once only been used till now, and that was used in Apollo spacecraft. This cell was only once used in a spacecraft, and that was Apollo spacecraft, which never came back to the Earth's surface after once it was launched. Right? During that case, we also lost 7 astronauts in it. The reason was they carried out hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Efficiency of this fuel cell is very, very high, you can say that almost up to 70% the fuel efficiency is there. But the problem is, when that Apollo spacecraft reached to the Earth's surface, to the moon surface, they landed over there and they were not aware about it that if we switch off the engine, it will go for the explosion, and they did it. They thought that for retaining the fuel has to be saved, so they switched off it, and immediately the explosion took place. And all the 7 astronauts, they were no more. So these fuel cell, once it starts to react, till the fuel is present, you can't stop it in between. Particularly for this, the reactions that are taking place on anode and cathode, they are written as, for the anode, the reaction you will be having it, that is H2, 2OH minus, it gets converted into 2H2O plus 2E. For the cathode, the reaction you will be having it is a O2 plus 2H2O plus 2E. Sorry, we will be having it as a 4H. We will be having an 2H2O only. 2H2O plus 4E. It will get converted into 4OH minus. That means the net reaction we will be getting it as an H2. If I go for balancing it, I will be, for this 2, I will have to multiply it by 2. So 2H2O plus O2, it gets converted into 2H2O. Right? So the benefits of these cells are many, but because of its single drawback, the cell is not being used. Right? The efficiency of this cell is almost up to 70%. The another benefit is, it is providing a potable water, useful water, drinking water, no noise pollution, right? Its voltage is also high, 1.23 volt. It is capable of producing a voltage of 1.23, but because of the limitations, right? Okay, now during this case, when I wrote it as a reaction, Na OH minus I wrote it. Now question arises, how do we get that? We are using only hydrogen and oxygen. So in that case, what is going to be the reaction? The cell is taken. The cell is divided into 3 chambers. The cell, it is divided into 3 chambers. In one of it, H2 gas is filled. In the another one, O2 gas is filled. This is particularly Ag electrodes that are used to separate them, and in between this there is a concentrated solution of NaOH is being filled up, from where we are getting the OH minus ions, right? So that OH minus have been used in the solutions. So that is about the fuel cell. Anodic and cathodic reaction has to be important for us. Last topic of the chapter we will be having, it is related to the corrosion. Now this is not a new topic for you. Corrosion means the metal oxide formation. When any metal reacts with an atmospheric oxygen and it forms a metal oxide. It forms a metal oxide. Then that metal oxide is considered to be, the process reaction is known as corrosion. This is also a redox reaction. Corrosion is also a redox reaction. That means reduction and oxidation both will be taking place simultaneously. How? Let's take it as an example of Fe reacting with O to produce Fe2O3, right? We will be balancing it as an O2, 3O2, so we will be having it here 2, so this one, this is the reaction. Fe reacts with O2 to form Fe2O3. But how this reaction takes place? So on anode, the reaction is Fe, it gets converted into Fe plus 2 plus 2E. That means on the metal surface, first of all, Fe will get converted into Fe plus 2 plus 2E. In the atmosphere, on the cathode, we need it as an oxygen, but pure oxygen is not reacting. What is happening? From the atmosphere, we are going to get it as H plus. From the atmosphere, how we are going to get it H plus? We know it that H2O is present in the air, CO2 is present in the atmosphere. It produces H2CO3. And this H2CO3 ionizes to 2H plus CO3 minus 2. And so from the atmosphere, we get it as an H plus. So that H plus reacts with O2 plus 2H plus 2E. It gets converted into 2OH minus. These 2OH minus and Fe reacts with one another and they get converted into Fe2O3 and H2O is again released out. Right? So these reactions are showing it that this is a corrosion of metal. Particularly when we are talking about Fe, then the corrosion of the Fe, the process is known as rusting of iron, which is brown in color. Same way, if you take it as a copper, you can see the copper becomes green in color when it forms an copper oxide. You know it, the gold and silver, generally they don't react, but when they react, they become tarnish, blackish, right? The black color, the coating, then every now and then it is told that the washing of the ornaments is necessary for the shining of it. The reason is they have got an metal oxide layer formation on it. So its lustrous property is being removed. So to get that property, it's necessary that its oxide formation should be removed. Right? So that is also nothing else but it's a corrosion of metal. Now we studied in our lower standards also, how can we prevent it? We can prevent it by painting, by going it with a covering of oil, red oxides, right? Particularly the most important process, that is the electroplating of another metal on it. That is, particularly when you take it as an Fe as an example and Zn is electroplated on it, we consider it as galvanization, and the iron we get it is known as galvanized iron. Till Zn is present on it, Fe is being protected. So Zn gets corroded, but Fe is protected. So one is destroying itself for the protection of the other one. So that is the reason why it is also considered as an sacrificial metal, which sacrifices itself and protects the other. So they are also known as sacrificial metals. So like that we can have it as a different process to stop the corrosion of the metals. Right? It's very important for us because thousands and crores of rupees have been wasted behind the corrosion of the metals every year by every country. Because metal gets corroded, again it has to refine, again the metal has to separate, again the process has to be done. So all these things are there. So to avoid it, every now and then coloring, we are coating it with a color, we are coating with a red oxide, we are going it for galvanization. Like that different metals are being protected. Right? Okay, that's what you are aware about the corrosion. Right? That's all we are having it in this chapter. So make it your notes, make it the ready, make out all your numericals to be done, make a practice for the numericals, and that's all what we are having it in this chapter. Okay, in our next lecture, as per the syllabus for the government has been decided, we will be going through organic. We will be having chapter 10 to be started with it. That is your part 2. So whenever we are going for the next lecture, make sure that you are having your part 2 ready with you. Okay, while getting a part 2, make it sure that you are also sitting with your note and pen so that you can keep on writing it, whatever certain points which I'm just dictating it, because many factors I won't be able to write on the board. Okay, anyhow, we'll discuss those things in your next lecture. That's all for today. Thank you.